This time on the Families Matter Most podcast.
The problem that I see, the problem that I saw in my own self too, is there is so much to do that we lose the leadership. We lose track of all of that. We need the systems, we need the routines, we need the structure for management. But we also need leadership.
Every time Jen Dean speaks, I can see hope, knowledge, expertise, wisdom, and love.
When Jen Dean speaks about parenting, we make sure that we are there to listen because we know we will get valuable advice.
Families Matter Most with Jen Dean.
She doesn't just give skills for us to be better parents, but she teaches us how to reach our children's hearts. And at the end of the day, that's what truly matters.
Are you a leader or a manager in your home? Are you leading your kids? Are you leading your family? Or are you managing them? And there's nothing wrong with managing, but I think a lot of the time with management, we just end up dealing with fires. We just end up putting out fires constantly, and that's not effective when it comes to raising leaders. That's what you want. I know that's what you want. I'm Jen, and in this podcast, we're going to talk about the difference between leading and managing your home, your family, your kids, what that looks like. I want you to see where you're stronger. Are you stronger in the area of leadership or management? And the benefits of both, they are both important. They're both valuable. How we can incorporate bringing in whatever you're weaker in to just make it a little bit more rounded out at home so that you can be raising leaders, raising young people. These humans are going to grow up and leave your home, and we want them to do well in life. So it's not just about managing all the details. It's actually about leading also. However, if you would say you're stronger in the area of leading, you are more about leadership in your home and less about management, then I will say you probably are dealing with a lot of negative behaviors that we could effectively reduce just through better management. So I'm so glad you're here. I want to talk about leadership, leading and managing. There's lots of books, lots of podcasts talking about HR strategies, leadership management at work. But what about at home? Your kids are the most important people in your life. Hands down. You love them. You love them so much. I understand that. We get so caught up in the day-to-day management of parenting that we can often forget leading. So I'm going to start there because I think that's where most of us get stuck. We get just stuck in the day-to-day grind of management, and we forget how important leadership is and that we need to make it a priority. We need to make time for it. It always takes more time. It's not something you can fit in nooks and crannies like management. Management and logistics, you can fit a lot of that. You can book the doctor's appointment while you're in your car waiting to pick up Johnny from his hockey lesson. You can, hockey lesson, is that a thing? You can tell I never had kids in hockey. From his, from his hockey game, hockey practice, that's the word. I know you're a hockey mom and you're shaking your head and rolling your eyes at me. I'm sorry. I did not spend all my time in a rink. Okay, you can do management stuff. You can book appointments. You can kind of cross things off your list management-wise in the nooks and crannies while you're waiting to pick someone up, while you're, over here, while you're in the school drop-off line, like all those things you can kind of try and fit in. Now, I do recommend having a time in your calendar. I do recommend Sunday night, you go over your calendar, you take a look at what's coming up the week ahead. You make sure that you haven't double booked yourself, that you don't need 3 people dropping kids off to 3 different activities when there's only 2 of you. If you're a single parent, this is doubly important that you're not double booking yourself. You don't have 2 people to juggle the schedule. So even more important, you need to look over your schedule for the week ahead. Make sure there's no double booking. Make sure I'm one person. I've got one vehicle. Can I get my kids where they need to go? What about the doctor's appointment? What about work? What about this? They need this special lunch. They need this form, this waiver for school. We need all the things. So Sunday night is a really, really good time management-wise to go over that. Something else management-wise that I like to do is I have a piece of paper. It's not the nicest. Maybe I'll see if I can post it for you. Maybe I can make it look a little better. But basically, I take everything that's in my brain. This is a great management tool. I take everything that's in my brain and I put it down in categories. So in our Strong Family program, we actually spend some time doing this and we have some worksheets there. If you're on the fence about our small group, you need to do it because we talk about all of this. We talk about ways to help make our life easier, management-wise, logistic-wise. We also talk about character, coaching, behavior, raising the kids, taking care of ourselves, dealing with anger. That's my plug for Strong Family program. It is incredibly affordable. If that's something that you're thinking, man, I wish I could have a little more help, a little bit more like step-by-step accountability in doing some of these things, then that is the group for you. You need to be in it. You needed to be in it last month. So get in it. I get everything out of my head and I put it down into categories. So one of them is car, and that's everything that needs to be picked up, dropped off. I need to go drive somewhere. I need to do something. So I can take an hour or two, throw a podcast on like this one, and I can do all of those errands. I can just set it up. I can be okay with it. I can just be fine about that and just batch it. I have another one that's like computer, and that's all the things I need to do at my computer. I need to research this thing. I need to order this thing. I need to email this person. I need to, everything at the computer so I can batch it. There's another one for batching that's about a phone. I just have a picture of a phone. And that's everything I need to call. I need to call this doctor. I need to book this appointment. I need to call this person. I need to confirm this. I need to text this. I can take 30 minutes and sit at my phone and do all of them. So taking some time on Sunday night to get everything out of your brain, looking at your calendar, looking at what's coming up the next week or two, batching all of those different activities, it's going to save you so much time and mental space, getting it out of your head instead of, I got to go drop this off. I got to call this person. I got to email here. I got to go online for this. We're going to put it in the categories, and then you're going to sit down. And I promise you, you can phone 3 different doctors and make 3 different appointments in 10 minutes? You can phone 1 doctor and make 1 appointment in 5 minutes? It pays to batch. It's going to save you time, and it's going to save you, I think, even more importantly, that mental load. The nice thing too is if you are married, if you have a partner, you can share this list. You can both sit down and get all that stuff out of your head. And then one of you can take all the car, one of you can take all the computer, one of you can take the phone. It's just a whole lot easier. So if that's something that you're interested in, let's have a strategy call. Let's talk about the Strong Family program because we spent some time on that and we have made a difference. So I want to encourage you to maybe reply, reach out to me. Let's talk about that. That is super helpful. That's a management strategy. Management is important. We can fit it in nooks and crannies as long as it doesn't take up too much of our time, our mental space, as long as we can still show up. Now, some people can handle this really well and they can juggle back and forth. I would say, though, a lot of us can't. I'm not very good at that. And I read a study in The One Thing, the book, podcast, the research paper on that. And it said that every time you are distracted from your task, you lose 30% of your time. So it takes you X amount of minutes to get re-engaged with that task again. So every time you are torn, pulled away, the kids are pulling on your shirt, they need you for a second. And let me tell you, parenting, you are constantly being distracted. So this is definitely applicable. This study found that in the workplace, people that were distracted lost 30% of their time. I would argue at home, you lose even more. I think there are more distractions. You lose even more of your time at home because they're so random, they're so frequent, they happen constantly. That is your job. You're parenting little people. And that's going to happen. So if you would say, Jen, I don't do well trying to manage in the nooks and the crannies, I hear ya. I'm the same. I get all of that. We do need to deal with the tasks, though. They have to happen. We got to eat. We need clean clothes. We need a clean house. We need to get an oil change on the car. These things need to happen. So let's find strategies. Let's hack the system and find ways to make it work. Maybe it means paying a mother's helper. Have you heard of those there? You pay someone to come and play with your kids while you're there. So they don't, it doesn't have to be a 17-year-old. You could pay a 12, 13-year-old, someone who's training to be a babysitter, perhaps, a neighborhood kid. You could pay them not as much as you would pay a babysitter, maybe half or 3/4, and they would come over and play with your kids. You're in the home. Everything is fine. If there's an issue, you're there. Everyone's safe, but they are entertaining your kids for you. That's really what we're paying for, is they're playing with your kids, they're keeping them engaged and entertained, they're having fun, so that you can focus on some tasks, whether those tasks are management related, whether it's getting food on the table and, the house clean, whatever that is for you, it matters. And I want to tell you, I did that and it made a huge difference for me. Huge. In fact, I would pay a babysitter to come every 2 weeks on payday. I would pay a babysitter to come over for 2 hours and I would go get groceries by myself. And that was wonderful. I'm not a fan of going to get groceries at 8 o'clock at night after my kids are in bed. I did not enjoy that. But what I did like is going from 4 to 6 after the babysitter was done school. And then I would pick up like a rotisserie chicken and something and come home with a hot meal for dinner. I enjoyed that. So let's hack the system management-wise. Batch things whenever you can. Come up with systems. Come up with routines. That is going to help. A first then list. Charts for kids. If you feel like bedtimes aren't working well, like mornings aren't working well, let's hack that. Let's practice bedtimes. Let's get a chart on the wall saying first you brush your teeth, then you get your jammies on, then we get a story, then we get prayer if you're a person of faith, then, we say goodnight. Let's do that. Let's get a chart in the morning. You can take pictures of your kids doing all of these fun things and then print them off and make it into a fun little chart. First, we get out of bed, and then whatever it is, then we have breakfast in our jammies, which I recommend because spilled cereal or whatever you're having on jammies is much easier to deal with than when our kids are already dressed. I've learned that one over time. I'm sure you have too. So make a little list and take pictures of the kids. They will love it. They will love seeing themselves. And number 1, we do this. Number 2, we do this. Number 3, we make our bed. And yes, it's going to be done badly. But the point is not for a perfect bed. The point is that our kids are learning character. Number 3, they make their bed. Number 4, they get dressed. Number 5, they get their backpack ready. And then if there's time, maybe there's some playtime after that. A chart, a list. First, we do the hard thing and then we do the fun thing. When we get home from school, when we get home from preschool, first we deal with our backpack and then we have some fun or some playtime or some snack or whatever that is, right? These are all important management things. They matter. If you feel like you would say, Jen, I don't like a routine. I really don't like, I just want to do whatever I feel like. I don't like having a schedule. I really just want to do whatever feels right in the moment. I would say, I'm so sorry for you because you can't. That's what I would say. I would say most, if not all, children thrive on structure. They need to know. Remember, it is our kids' job to push the boundaries. They don't even know what the boundaries are. They don't even know what the structure is, the routine is. They don't know. So of course they're going to push even harder. So I would say, from my experience as a parenting coach, as a family coach, as a life coach for parents, I would say, I'm really sorry. I know this is not your strength. I know it's a challenge. You need help. You need coach. You need mentor. You need these things because it doesn't come naturally to you, but your kids need it. They need it from you. They will do better. The negative behaviors you're frustrated with will decrease when you can have a routine and a structure for them. There's so much going on in their worlds. We don't need them guessing for every hour of the day. That's going to cause stress and anxiety, uncertainty, and that is going to cause all kinds of behavior struggles. And then you're going to feel overwhelmed anyway. So Trust me when I say they need a routine. Now, it doesn't have to be to the minute, but they need some kind of structure, even if it's loose, even if it, I'm not saying, at 3:42 we do this and at 3:47 we do that. Please hear me, I'm not saying that. But a first then is powerful. First, we come home, we deal with our backpack, we have a snack, and then we have some TV time, if that's what you do, and then we go outside to play. A first then. That can be wonderful. So even a loose structure will be really, really great. Managing the home is important. And if it doesn't come naturally, I'm sorry, but it is necessary. I do want to talk about leadership too, though. The problem that I saw in my own self too, is there is so much to do that we lose the leadership. We lose track of all of that. We need the systems, we need the routines, we need the structure for management. But we also need leadership. So if you can, if you're in a place right now where you can take out a piece of paper, I want you to grab a paper and a pen, and I want you to just jot down on the paper the name of one of your kids. And I want you to think about vision. I want you to, let's just take a second. You can pause this podcast, and for every one of your kids, I want you to just jot down a couple of things. I want you to jot down what are a few of their strengths. I want you to jot down what are a few of their weaknesses right now. This could be character weaknesses, behaviors that you're not enjoying right now, any of those. And then I want you to write down the third thing is, what do they need from me? Which is a way of saying, how can I help them? What do they need? They need me to be more patient, maybe. They need me to teach them how to manage their time, perhaps. They need me to teach them how to deal with frustration and anger. What do they need? What do they need from me? They need me to slow down a little bit. Maybe they're too busy right now. Maybe they're in too many activities. And we need to be okay to have a season where it's slower. Maybe they need to go to bed earlier. What do they need? So some strengths, some weaknesses, and what do they need from me? How can I help them? Do that for every one of your kids. So hit pause, and when it's done, come on back. Welcome back. You just did leadership. You just took some time to have some vision, to look at what's working, maybe what's not working, and to come up with a plan. What do they need from me? This is important because we can get so stuck in just putting out the fires of life, just dealing with whatever the issue is in front of us, that we never take the time to think about leadership stuff. I think perfect example is if you've got more than one child, you likely have one child that gives you more grief. I'll just be honest. You likely have one child that is maybe a little bit more difficult to raise right now. Right now, in the phase of life that they are in, they are causing you more frustration. You're finding that you have to deal with stuff. And you likely have one child that is easier. Right now, you have one child that is just kind of going under the radar. It's not a problem right now. They are being good. They are not causing any issues. They're not pushing back. And they're under the radar. And so if all you're doing is focusing on the negative behaviors that are presenting in front of you, if all you're doing is seeing the things that make you upset, frustrated, angry, you're going to be dealing with one child right now. And it could change. It could change later. But right now, that's what's happening. And without even realizing it, the other child will just kind of get missed a little bit. They're under the radar. They'll get missed. You won't notice as much going on in their life, good or bad. They won't be getting in trouble, but they also won't be getting celebrated as often. And you won't mean to, and I've done it. I've done all of these things. Taking some time for leadership means taking some time to think about the kids, to have some vision. What do you want to do? What's going well? What's maybe not going so well? And what do they need from me? And sitting and taking a few minutes to think about that child that's under the radar right now. They're just kind of flying low. They're not really getting attention, good or bad. Taking some time to think about them. Okay, how are they doing? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do they need from me? You will not regret doing this. I work with families, and maybe you can relate. Maybe you were that kid growing up. You were a good kid. You didn't cause any trouble. You did what you were supposed to do. There were no issues. Maybe that was you. But I'm willing to bet that you wish you would have gotten a little bit more attention from your parents, from your family. So that's where leadership can come in really handy. Leadership helps you to look forward and to think about what's coming up. What do they need? How can I help them? What's going on? It also helps with character. So if you are struggling, let's say in the management section, if you're struggling because this part of our home isn't going well, let's say bedtime isn't going well in our home. Or maybe chores. You want your kids to do chores and it's not going well. They're pushing back. They're complaining. They're not doing a good job. Well, management is just dealing with the fires. You're just going to get mad, frustrated. Maybe you're going to start yelling at the kids. Maybe you're going to give up and just do it yourself because it's faster and you can do a better job anyway. Whereas leadership would say, oh, okay, wait a minute. We need a new system for this. We need to work on this a little bit more. This isn't working the way I want it to be. So how do I want it to go? Let's try something else. Maybe we should have a family meeting to talk about it, about trying this another way. Maybe I should ask questions. Maybe I'm going to pull this child aside and ask them what they think. That's what leadership would do. Leadership would take a breath, think about it. Where does it go wrong? Is it my delivery? Can I change how I present it? Should I offer an incentive? Should I pull one child aside? Is there some other way I can do it? That's what leadership will do. Leadership is thinking it through. Leadership is remembering why we do the things we do. It's not just about chores. If it was just about chores, it would be easier and faster for you to do it yourself. 100%. But it's not just about that. It's about raising up young people that know how to take care of themselves. It's about having a happy daughter-in-law or son-in-law that feels supported, that, right? I have all boys, and I'm not even joking when I tell you that some of my motivation has truly been that I want my daughter-in-laws to like me. I want them to be happy that my kids know how to cook a few meals, that they know how to clean a bathroom, they know how to do their own laundry, that they're not going to walk into a relationship expecting that there's just some magical fairy that's going to take care of all this stuff, because that's what happened for them growing up. I want my kids to know how to do some of this stuff. I want my kids to know how to pay a bill online, how to make a phone call, how to send an email, how to deal with their taxes. I want them to know how to work hard. I want them to be responsible. I want them to be honest. I want them to be generous and kind, and not just when someone's looking, but when nobody's looking. That matters. Character matters. And leadership means that you're not just thinking about the things that have to get done. You're thinking about why they have to get done. And you're thinking, how can I teach the character behind it? It's not just about having a made bed. It's about teaching diligence and responsibility to my kids. That's what leadership does. We need both. We need both. So I would ask you, do you think you're stronger in the area of leader or manager? And whatever your answer is, how can you bring in that other side? How can you bring that in? A leader takes time to inspire, to get to the character, the reason why behind we do the things we do. A leader is willing to talk. A leader is visionary. A leader thinks through what they're going to do and why they're going to do it, and they want to make sure they teach it well. But sometimes they can get lost in just whatever it feels in the moment, and sometimes they don't do a good job managing the systems, the routines, the structures that need to be in place. And that can lead to a lot of negative behavior, frustration, and overwhelm for you. Or if you're stronger in the area of manager, you might run a tight ship. But is there room? Is there room for conversation? Is there some vision? Is there time talking about why you do the things you do? Is there character development? Are you thinking about the future and where you want it to go? Are you thinking about strengths and weaknesses? So we all have work to do. I have a fun quiz. I'm going to post it in the show notes. And it's 5 questions. It's 5 questions. I'll give them to you now. I'll post this in the show notes. You can get this quiz. There's a worksheet for you too to help you kind of sit through this. But here's the questions. Let's find out if you're running the household like a CEO or if you've mastered the art of daily operations like a boss. Keep track of your answers and get your result. So when the kids are fighting over the TV remote, your first move is to A, do you inspire them to come up with a family media plan for the week? Do you take the remote away and tell them, hey, it's up to you. You come up with a plan to make it work. Or do you just take the remote, set a timer, and make them rotate turns every 15 minutes? Do you do that? Do you kind of take over and make it happen? That would be more management. The first one would be more leadership. Number 2, it's time for dinner and you realize you forgot to defrost the chicken. Uh-oh, I've done that. Do you A, ask the family what creative last-minute meal ideas they can come up with together? Hey, maybe it's chicken nuggets. Or B, do you microwave the chicken? They won't even know. I'm just going to make it happen. Even if it's not good, no one needs to know. We're going to eat this whether we like it or not. That would be more management. That would be that I'm just going to make it just a tight run ship. Number 3, you catch your child drawing on the wall with crayons. Do you A, require their help to scrub the crayon off? Not really help, but still, it's the character, right? Do you talk about a creative expression and guide them to an art project that doesn't involve the walls? Notice this is taking some time to talk about it, also requiring them to do some work. Or B, it's just quicker and easier if you grab the cleaning supplies and do it yourself. That's management. Hey, and sometimes that's what you got to do. If you got to be somewhere, I get it. Number 4, the weekend's coming up and the kids ask what's on the agenda. Do you A, hold a mini family meeting, sharing the projects that need attention and ask for solutions where everyone gets a voice? Or B, do you announce the projects and errands and offer incentives for the extra work that needs doing? Realizing that if the kids don't want to do it, you're doing it all. Please, I'm trying to remember that sometimes we need management. It's really true. Sometimes we need a manager, but we can't ignore leadership. We can't. Last question, number 5. Your child's science fair project is due tomorrow, but they haven't started yet. You, A, encourage them to brainstorm and take the lead, even if it means they're staying up late, bringing their vision to life. Do you let them just do it? And if they're going to fail, they're going to fail. Is that what you do? B, do you pull out the glue gun and construction paper and you come up with the idea and we're just going to get it done? You tell them we're going to finish this project now, no matter what. If it's mostly A's, you're more into leadership. You're more into the big picture thinking. You want to empower your family to share ideas and grow. It's very visionary. Your household is very collaborative. There's lots of time to stop, to be creative, to talk about things. And there is definitely a time and a place for that, and we need that. If it was mostly B's, you're a manager. You've got the schedules, the routines, the day-to-day operations down to a science. Your household runs like a well-oiled machine, and you make sure everything stays on track. If it's a mix of A's and B's, then maybe this is a healthy balance between leading and managing. Maybe you know when to let creativity shine, when to step in with a firm hand. Can your household get the best of both worlds? So I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Do you feel like you lean more to leader or manager? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And how can I help you? Thanks for listening to the podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Families Matter Most podcast with Jen Dean. Book a free strategy call today and get the tools and tips you need to be a more calm and confident parent. For more podcasts, online courses, or just to get more information, visit familiesmattermost.com.